So welcome also, and thank you for inviting me. And maybe first I will tell something about this association for advancement of fostering built heritage situated at Mauerbach, which is a Kartusian monastery. This is an association which basically is running further education courses relation to built heritage, and is working in close cooperation with the Monument Board of Austria, or say the Office for the Protection of Heritage in Austria. And actually our association is running the courses and is providing, say, a pool of trainers and experts for these further education courses there. The institution of the Monument Board is called Information and Further Education Center for Built Heritage. Yeah? So a lot of pictures which will appear are directly from the Monument Board and partly from the association. So this Art Nouveau facades. Yeah? So when you come to Vienna and you see an Art Nouveau building or a building around 1900, you will see a lot of decorations on the surfaces. Decorative plaster work in different structures. You will see there are a lot of different structures. Stucco ornaments, but not only stucco ornaments. Most of those ornaments, what you see there, are already prefabricated cast elements. Ceramic tiles, metal ornaments, stone, artificial stone. Terracotta went down. It was more before because it was replaced by a lot of this prefabricated cast out of cement-like things. A little bit face brickwork. So again, this building of Josef Olbrich, the Secession, and I think it's a new renovation going over or restoration go over it, but as it was presented a few years ago, and then some words of Josef Olbrich, or let's say more the group of Josef Olbrich, yeah? What they said about the intentions. So what they wanted to use, we wanted to leave it with its natural color. So not only because it's cheap render, because they really had the intention to leave the facade with its natural color. So they tried to get the good natural sand. The Danube sand is not good. The sand from the Türkenschanze, which is a local Viennese name, you can say it's about Ottoman fortification or Ottoman trench structure. It's a name out of the siege of the Ottomans in Vienna in the Baroque times. Yeah? And he had so well served Baroque buildings, Baroque architects. So they looked back. Problem was, this sand was not available anymore because the pits already closed, the town was running over it. It was not possible to dig something workable out. And then they decided to use this normal Danube sand, spray it with whitening, so make a lime wash, and then soak the facade with isinglass. We will see isinglass, it's just glue from fish remains. So natural glue. To tell you again, this sand from the Türkenschanze was a slightly yellowish sand. It was not pure white, it was slightly yellowish brownish. And you can maybe imagine how this building have looked when it was done out of the original intention of the architects, maybe in combination with this gilding, not this pure white, maybe a little broken white. And you can also read maybe from the intention of the architects that there were two things which are typically in Vienna, we will see, is to show the material itself, so the sand and the lime, the natural stone. And the second is to show the craftsman's hand. So that's why you also say we make a natural plaster, look at the craftsman's surface and don't do a paint over it, for example. Huh? So second thing, we will see is here. We have two facades made from ceramic tiles. So Otto Wagner was hygiene, was at this time very important, yeah. And so these two ceramic tiles facades are more a kind of washable facade, because at this time in Vienna, we had a lot of black plaster and crusts on our plaster surfaces, because this was mainly from our burning coal, brown coal, and you get a lot of sulfur, and you get a lot of brown and black dust on it, and this attacks the plasters, and they get very fast, very dark. It's a phenomenon you have inside the cities. The far away from the cities, the phenomenon gets less. So this is also maybe a try to make it a little bit washable and prevent it from getting dark within 10 or 15 years, or maybe also from bringing this plaster crust, which also produce gypsum from the sulfur of the burnt coal. So two important things at this time. So then we have here this Otto Wagner building, which is now the decorated tile facade, and it is a pure washable building. It's not only that it's a beautiful decoration, it's also washable. It can wash away the gypsum crusts, and it's also a huge step forward in hygiene, because when you see there are tiles everywhere except, say, the iron guitars or the iron, in detail, also here the tiles. Yeah, there was a second attempt for a washable facade. This is Max Fabiani, so Wagner, let's say at least co-worker. So here is it still in the Max in Slovenia. He's written with a K, because he went then to Slovenia, and he had also a fully tile facade, also with here the sills and tile. So there is not a lot of more of these facades in Vienna, but the tiles remained not as decorative elements, yeah, not as fully covering a facade, but they stayed in a lot of buildings then as decorative elements on the facade, together with plasters, with iron. And here we have such a classical facade, which consists now of different plasterworks. It consists of ceramic tiles. It consists of gilded parts. It consists of ironworks. It consists of cast elements. And this is so the whole, let's say, potpourri of materials you can have there. Surprisingly, we have a photograph which is before the renovation or conservation or restoration. And what you see here is that this white plaster or this white surface you saw before was a slightly yellowish sand, unpainted. So also here the intention to show the surfaces of the materials, and that what was done in the renovation to overpaint it with a white acrylic paint or dispersion paint, yeah, is maybe not a way which fixes the original intention of the architects. Another facade, you can remember, we have also cast elements out of concrete, and we have also artificial stone. Also, of course, this is now stone, not painted, so it's concrete sand mixtures which are partly molded or casted, and then a stonemason works on it. When you look at this facade and the behavior now, it was also absolutely unpainted, because we have it here in an unpainted place. Here it's much more easier. Another Art Nouveau building, white. Here we have some face brickwork also in, something we had not before. Ceramic tiles, different types of plasters, cast elements. Yeah? But when you look here, oh, it's unrestored. And again, this facade, which looks here like this, with stucco and plaster works. Yeah? Here also, stucco and plaster works, cast elements, face brick walls, tiles, everything you would have. Different types of plasters. This is a so-called squeezed plaster, we will see. And that's the original. Only dirty by the dust from the burnt coal and the dirt you have in the city, but it's completely unpainted. And the intention is to see this plaster work with the directly surface, material surface, with the hand of the craftsman. And of course, the contrast is completely different, yeah? Because when it's not overpainted, everything is more sharp. Maybe here you see a cast element which has had a little bit other color than this here and this here, because it's made out of Roman cement, we will hear then, yeah? And this is a unpainted plaster, so the materials themselves have a little bit different color, but the main thing makes just the light and shadow and sun, and this is a complete other hue. So for the cast plaster works, I said, visible qualities. It's the materiality surface, it's the technique of the craftsman, and it's the development of the ornaments, but we have also crust elements, and we will see now these different types of plasters, especially used in the Art Nouveau in Vienna. A comp plaster, squeeze plaster, trickle plaster, rough cast plaster. So a lot what the craftsmen used to fulfill the surface or structure the architects wanted. One is here like this. It's a rough comp plaster. So it's the Venice station in Vienna city park, but there is also going a river in this direction, so it has a little bit to do with water. But again, what you see here is stone is visible, plaster is visible, unpainted, and different stones. They live by different stone works, yeah, but it's nothing painted. Nothing painted. So you see this plaster here. Again, a comp plaster. And this, you see this here, yeah. And you see the problem when you paint this comp plaster, it gets blurred, yeah. You just see blurred lines anymore because the thick acrylic or dispersion paint, it blurs the whole thing. Here it is unpainted. We know that these plasters were all unpainted. Here you see a difference between paint and unpainted, maybe a little bit, yeah. Here you see it's a little bit blurred. It has not still this appearance it has when it's an unpainted plaster with very sharp structures. Here example, one which has survived against conservation or restoration at the moment. So it has still the dirt which was in the city on it. All this which came from the sulfur, from the coal. It's still dirty, but it was unpainted with different plaster structures you will see. And here I think we are lucky. We still have some old windows. Also recognize maybe beneath this about this presentation is not about windows, but just compare. Yeah. So here are these comp plasters, squeezed plasters, ornaments, prefabricated ornaments, and is everything unpainted. And you can imagine when you paint this, you see nothing anymore. Yeah? So it goes for light and shadow, material visibility. When you look closer to this plaster, you see it's unpainted. You see this crust of dirt and dust from the city with the coal and a little bit of gypsum. But underneath you see a white plaster, a pure white lime plaster, but especially selected with white grains. We make now from the city of Vienna, we go outside to the Vienna forest, and this is about 30 kilometers outside of Vienna, and it's called the so-called Vöslauer dolomite sand. It's a natural sand pit where you have nearly white dolomite sand, and it was used from the start of the around 1900 until the 1950s or 60s, and that's what here is missing. So you can say the surface was something like this here, yeah? This huge amount here is on the facades in Vienna. So it's specially used because with this fine dolomite sand, this was a high quality sand, and with a white lime, I was able to produce a nearly white plaster. So this goes even to Josef Frank and so on. They all used this material, and it was really mainly used, say, within 50 or 60 years. Today it's under heritage protection, so you cannot dig out any sand anymore for conservation or restoration work. Also here, you see here, mainly unpainted facade with a squeezed plaster here with the typically tiles, ornaments, and here with a cicale, so several on the plastering. So you can see it also in detail, a squeezed plaster. But notice the windows, beautiful, yeah? New windows. And this, nice. And they really show, as you look here, so they keep the old profile, yeah? So when you go back, you have here somewhere an original wooden one. They still have they got it perfect. This is, I like very much because you can demonstrate very well the intentions, and it's also Josef Beer, which is a very famous architect in Vienna. And you see this is the original, still with the original windows, also here, surprisingly, yeah? And you see what happens when it's overpainted. So a completely different appearance, which was absolutely not the intention of the architect. It was to show the surface, the plasterwork, the hand of the craftsman. Different structures should be visible only during different light reflection and the color of the materials. Yeah? So what to do in restoration? Not at least not put an dispersion over it, just maybe make a light lime slurry, which is very thin, yeah, and maybe also helps to cover it or to consolidate it. But you see the facade is in not bad shape, so it was no use to do this, yeah. So when you remove the dirt and the dust, you get a broken white, lightly white, yellowish, nearly white plaster. So here we come to a building which with cast elements, and you see they have such a brownish, yellowish color. The plasters had a little bit other color, and when you look in detail, you have here a nice camped plaster on it, yeah, in contrast to a very smooth surface, but it's out of the same plaster, and just the structure makes the difference in light. And in detail, you see here unpainted cast elements, which have also another color, another surface texture than the other materials, and they make the contrast. And they are out of Roman cement, or our Spanish people here, they are out of cement natural. We had a lot of presentations today, and you can look with Mr. Goel, with which material he made his money, yeah? So look what he was, yeah? And you will surely come over this cement natural, where he earned his wealth. So that's an English invention. So it's a first cement which was, let's say, so-called cement, which was on the market in Europe after the Romans. So it was something which got hard underwater, and that's why they called it Roman cement, because now we have that what the Romans built their harbors, or they built their buildings. But it's in chemical or mineralogical terms or building science, it's something completely different. But it was also used a lot for buildings and stucco works. It came to Austria very late. So it came, you can say it started in English around 1900. It goes to France, around 1800 and goes to France, it goes to Spain. And when it arrived in Austria, it was around 1860. And this is a nice factory who produces this. And here you see the kilns, they make the Roman cement, and this is Mr. Kink. So in Austria, it was called Kufstein cement sometimes also. And also very nice is the factory was in Schwoich, in Kufstein. And it had a name, Russland, which means somehow like Sudland, because they burned there and grounded there the cement. What it is a binder which gets hard very fast. I can make cast elements out of it, which have no shrinkage. And they have an appearance which is imitating stone, because it's a natural cement. And it has not a uniform surface or texture then. It has a little bit shading, and it imitates stone. And here we are at Semper, very famous. Here also face brickwork and stone imitating Roman cement. So it was invented in Vienna around this time. So you can make perfect cast elements out of it. This is a section through a cast element. Yeah? What you need is special molding techniques and know about a little bit how to work with the cement. And you can fix then these cast elements. You see here one with iron nails on the facade. This is from the Hofpavillon of Otto Wagner. And here we are. So Otto Wagner was in close cooperation during his, say, Stadtbahn work with a lot of modern building materials producers, and he was also married to the daughter of a Roman cement producer. So Goel and Gaudi were not married, yeah, but they worked also in close cooperation with their binding and materials. Here it's just some merit. And here you see this never finished Hofpavillon from Otto Wagner. It's this Stadtbahn station, which is especially built for the emperor, but he never used it a lot. This is missing, you know, it's never, was never fully completed because money ran out in this, yeah. And what you see here, this here, yeah, is such a Roman cement element. It is fixed with an iron nail, and when you go there and make scientific research and so, it comes out that it was unpainted. It was the pure surface of the cement, and here it was a pure lime putty layer, fine lime, white lime putty layer, unpainted. So it looked then there. So, and what have we done? So we know Otto Wagner, he got this new, very flat lime putty layer, unpainted, pure white. And Otto Wagner was, a lot of Otto Wagner's buildings show such a tile which is not carrying more weight than its own weight, separated from parts of the building which carry a weight, yeah? And so it's a small detail, but at least it's done wrong. Here, for the stone, they did it, for the relief, they did it. And the decoration I showed you before, which was fixed with the iron nail there, it's from here, and it was also a Roman cement decorative element which was unpainted. Yeah? And also this was unpainted, pure white lime putty. So other Roman cement elements, you find them there everywhere. And you see here also the facade. Here it's already overpainted. This is the original. Cast elements fixed together and glued on the wall. And you see here the difference. You see here the difference. Unpainted, unpainted, the wood was painted. Yeah? And finally, this nice Plečnik building, who went then also to Slovenia, so we lost a lot of good architects to Slovenia. Here also, cast elements out of Roman cement, 3 types of roses, plastered, fixed with iron nails, and then in between connected with a structural plastered, and it was also unpainted, showing the Roman cement surface. Then they tried a little bit to paint, and they didn't know where to end, because here ends the cast element, and here is the molded plaster, and they were not sure, should I paint this now until here, or should I paint everything? So, terrible thing. Otherwise, what is not to see here anymore, only parts are here still visible. This looking flat surfaces were done with a very fine squeezed plaster. Very, very fine, not very rough. You see it here. In other parts, it's away. So you get the contrast to the roses and the colors of the Roman cement. But it was all unpainted. Today, I think it's not under restoration at the moment. We will see how it will look like after restoration. So finally, I bring you something, because we are an institution which makes further education for all people together. That's the main thing when we're making further education courses. We make craftsmen, we make mainly did for the craftsmen, for the painters, masonries, but in our basic courses, we have the architects, we have the planners, we have the people from the monument board also there, that they make basic courses together also with the craftsmen, and it helps to understand each other, and then it's sometimes less complicated on the construction side. Yeah? So we try to fix this problem, or help to fix this problem before that they each other understand what Olbrich or Josef Hoffmann or Otto Wagner could, because they had all a crafts background. So it's a facing brickwork, also an Art Nouveau facade. We have not a lot facing brickwork, Art Nouveau facades, but this is a one which was a huge bakery. It called Hammerbrotwerke, hammer bread factory, because it was Red Vienna in the 1920s, 1930s, also a successor of the group Hoffmann-Wagner. And it has a faced brickwork. It is a little bit outside of Vienna, in Schwechat. And there already you have not so much sludge and dust and disturbance, and it gets not so dark so fast, and it went dark in the cities. I'm finally fast finished. Here you see also facing brickwork. These are concrete tiles, cutted concrete tiles from pavement in Vienna used. Unpainted plasters. Even the iron sills here over it were just visible as iron sills. They had just something against the rust over it. Yeah? And when you try to restore face brickwork, yeah, then please don't do this, yeah, because we heard a lot about light and shadow and how the appearance of a face brickwork should be. And here we have a course where architects, restorers, craftsmen, planners are working together, trying to make a restoration concept and doing also some hands-on. Yeah? Even this is very nice because here every second plaster was not moved out and replaced by the architect by a coarse, rough plaster, unpainted. Yeah? So here we do this restoration work. Here you see where people start to try, under the guidance of craftsmen, to fill this up, or here to bring this together. Here you beautifully see this unpainted plaster surface. So you see here again the Roman cement. Here we used this material for taking care of the bricks and give them new surface. There was not a lot of damage because it was outside of the city and it was 120 years old, but it was in good shape, yeah, because there was no restorer there. There was no one there with a new concept. Yeah? It just survived. Yeah? But today not, because after they had a concept, what to make out of it, they had 10 years time and were thinking about the concept, and surprisingly, one part of this factory was burned down 2 years ago. Yeah? So the concept is now not be done. So that's it. So I thank you for attention. Remember, it's in close cooperation with the Monument Board. And here are our, except from the, let's say, Information and Training Center of the Monument Board, we are in several training projects, European-wide, where we always try to train crafts and try to make a combination, architects' crafts, planners' crafts. And thank you again for your attention.
Thank you so much.